very, very happy that you joined us tonight. I just love these times where we get together and just share content, information. We are all going in the same direction. And Billy and Becky, their heart behind Wealth Builders is to help us to really see business, see real estate and building wealth from both a spiritual perspective and a natural one. And that's what just makes us so unique. Now, I really like to hear where you're all tuning in from. I love to see your name so you guys know what to do so we can give you a shout out. And I'm just really so amazed. Like, we have people that come on, you're really part of our Wealth Builders family. I recognize your names. Then we have new people that have never heard of us that are joining us for the first
Mm.
time. So we're very, very thrilled to have you. And as you are telling me where you're tuning in from, I want to introduce our speaker actually tonight, and then also one of our coaches. So we are really blessed. We're going to hear from Bill Bronchek tonight. Bill, welcome.
Welcome. You so we're all going in the same direction. I hope it's
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely
Bill is like the most
by the grace of God.
amen.
Amen.
Amazing attorney, just a heart for
Thank
the
you.
Lord. Him and his
Yes.
beautiful wife, Jen, they're just like really just pursuing things and such a big support for us. So, Bill, we're just very, very honored to have you part of the
Thank you.
Wealth Builders
It's
family.
my
Thank you.
pleasure always. It's my honor and my privilege and my pleasure always.
Thank you. And we
Yeah.
also have our amazing coach, Frank Pulley. Frank, welcome.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have a really great night tonight. If you haven't heard Bill Bronchick, you're in for a treat. I know it's been a long day. We really appreciate you spending the time with us.
We really do. And I'll tell you, it's going to be worth it. And all of this is really helping you to see, too, what we've got coming up on April 16th. We've got a business workshop. We're calling it Marketplace Mission in the Marketplace. I have to get the title right.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, there is something happening right now in the marketplace. There's a very strong role that we have to play. And we've just really, as a team, been hearing from the Lord about really increasing our boundaries on the inside. Wealth starts from within. And we need to have the how to's as well. So you're going to hear some very different teaching this weekend, things that you have never heard before as part of this. And it's really ideal for businesses and nonprofits. So if you have not yet registered, I want to encourage you to do so. You do not want to miss it. It's an all day online workshop. And I just really have something like I'm excited about. There's something in it that is like, I know it's going to be good, if that makes sense. So I do want to just say hi to some of you. Desiree, thank you for joining us from Littleton. We are super happy to have you. Johnny from Louisiana, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad to see you. I saw your name on something else today, Johnny. I don't know what it was. It was on an email, but we're glad to have you. Corlo, welcome. You are from Las Vegas. Wow. My husband grew up in Las Vegas. So that's near and dear to our hearts. Welcome. Oh my goodness, we have Desix that's coming in from France. Welcome. So glad to have you. Sue, our Wealth Builders coaching family. I'd love to see your name on here from San Antonio. Sally, so good to see you from North Carolina. Monica from South Texas. Wow, so is it really south? Like really, really south? Or how south is that? We love Texas, spent many years there. So fun. Rebecca, oh, this is awesome. You're tuning in from Silicon Valley. Wow. Thank you for joining us. I've just been at Healing is Here, and Bill Johnson is there. Of course, he's from California. He's doing an amazing job. It's always good to see people tuning in from California. Brian, welcome from Colorado Springs. Janice, thank you for joining us from Alabama. Nadaba from South Africa. So glad to see you. Ted, oh my goodness, our amazing Ted, that is part of our Wealth Builders coaching family from Minnesota, my home state. Nancy from Terrell, Texas. Craig and Paula, welcome from Loveland. Angel is tuning in from Fort Worth, Texas. So glad to have you. Oh, we've got Asmana tuning in from the Philippines. Welcome. Michael, thank you for joining us. Earl from Plano, Texas. Oh, I love to see your name on here, Earl. Welcome. And Mike just let us know he's from North Carolina. And we've got Osmana. Yes, Philippines. We got that. Sandra. Oh my goodness, I was just on a Triple X Factor live stream or like not a live stream, It's our Zoom one, it's our online one. And Sandra, you are so precious. Thanks for tuning in from Tennessee. Volney, thank you for joining us from New York. Dennis from California. Oh, the Reese's from Florida. So glad to see you. Neliana, thanks for joining us from Pennsylvania. Wow, it's truly like a family reunion here, guys. So I have just something I want to introduce to you before Bill gets started. We really listen to what you are all asking for, and we really like seek the Lord on what we can provide for you that helps you in this wealth building journey. And one of the things that we were hearing over and over and over is that you all want to know who you can connect with, whether it's a CPA, a marketing agency, a real estate agent, investments, insurance, whatever it is, you wanted to be able to connect with someone that is part of the Wealth Builders family. And so we are in the midst of launching something called WB Network or Wealth Builders Network. So we are putting together a program that provides for all of you an opportunity to connect with people in their industries that are already connected to wealth builders. And so I'm really excited. I've got two of those people that are on tonight, and I want to give them just a like a half a minute, 30 seconds to so that I can introduce them to you. And so each time we have a webinar, we're going to take just a couple people and let you know what this is all about. You're going to see eventually we've got the website, we're working on it. It's going to be available for all of you completely free of charge to use this network. And I think that as we connect with people that are like-minded, it's really going to help us because we're like, hey, do you have a CPA we can trust? Do you have someone that has the heart of God that we can connect with? So I want to bring on, first of all, Noel. So you're gonna see his face here shortly. Noel is from Blue Earth, Minnesota, which is like 30 minutes from where I grew up in Wells, Minnesota. Such a really fun story. But Noel, welcome. You are one of our platinum providers on the Wealth Builders Network. And I just really want you to be able to share with people what you do and how they can get a hold of you.
Sure. Thanks, Karen. Yeah, I'm Noel Johnson, one of the owners at Honest Studios. We're based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but serve international clients as well. We partner with mission-driven leaders and entrepreneurs. We shape powerful stories and amplify impact. Our work includes partners like the Bible Project, the Send, 1 Million Home, the Alabaster Bible, and more. Over the last 7 years, we've served over 100 different mission-driven organizations and businesses. We combine brand strategy, messaging, visual identity, and full scale media production under one roof so that we can maximize efficiency at any scale. We believe that stories shape influence, and we craft stories that move the hearts of your supporters and customers. And we are faith driven at the core. Believe that creativity is a divine gift, and we believe in integrity and stewardship in every project that we do. So yeah, if you're a ministry, a nonprofit, mission-minded entrepreneur that's hungry for clarity, influence, memorable storytelling, let's connect. We can jump
That
on
is
a
so awesome. And Noel, do you do video production?
yep,
All
website,
this.
video, animation, yeah, anything from product launches to stadium gatherings with like the Send and Pulse and different groups.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow. Noel, thanks. And how can we get a hold of you? And then I'll have the team go ahead and put that in the chat.
Yeah, the best way, easiest way, you can see some of our other work as well, is just to go to honeststudios.com, or you can email me at noel@honeststudios.com. But you can see some of our other work and fill out a really simple form, and we can contact you and set up a free call to see what we can help you with.
That is awesome. Noel, thank you so much. You also do real estate investing.
I do. Yeah, that's how I got connected with Wealth Builders here. So yeah,
Yeah, a great friend of Dan Dyer. So you will be in good hands with this guy. All right. Thank you so much, Noel. It's so
thanks for
good to
having
have you
me.
on here. And the second person that I want to introduce to you is Tammy. And Tammy is a real estate agent in the Colorado Springs area. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you, Karen. So blessed to be here. Hi, Frank. Hi, Bill. You went away. Oh, there you are. Hi. And hi to the Wealth Builder family.
So Tammy is a real estate agent with Keller Williams, and we're always looking for people that we can refer people to that have the heart of the Lord. And I'm telling you, Tammy, she's in Colorado Springs, Woodland Park. What other areas do you cover, Tammy?
Really all up and down the Front Range. I'm licensed in all of Colorado. I'm very familiar with the Denver metro area, Colorado Springs, and then headed west into Teller County.
It's good. I'll tell you what, Tammy has just got a heart for people. She just worked with one of our coaching clients, a young couple. Just, I just want to tell you, you're in great hands. So if you need real estate
I'll
in
give
the
her
Front
I'll give
Range,
her a testimony. Tammy is sharp as a whip and understands creative finance and creative transactions that are outside the box. So,
And
Yeah,
I'll
what's
thank
back
you.
that up 100%.
up?
Thank you.
so good. Yeah,
I
Tammy's amazing.
I
And
really,
go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. I was just going to say, I approach every transaction as a divine appointment, and sometimes that means me helping, and sometimes it means maybe sending someone in a different direction. But it can benefit no matter what, right? It's a success no matter what, and I've had just been blessed to do tons of transactions, easy ones, difficult ones, high end, low end, land, new construction, investment properties, really the entire gamut. And what really sets me on fire is to be able to make a difference in other people's lives for the good and to help create lasting wealth through real estate.
It's awesome. I just confirm all of that because I just know like her heart is amazing. So Tammy, what is the best way if people are looking for a home either to buy or to sell in the Front Range Colorado area? How can they get a hold of you?
Phone number is 719-331-7727. And you won't get an assistant, you won't get a robot, you will get me. And also my website, myspringsliving.com.
Great. We'll put that up in the chat. Thank you so much, Tammy, for being a part of this.
Of
All
course.
right. So this is just part of that Wealth Builders community, that Wealth Builders family, and you're going to hear a lot more from people. And if some of you have a business where you're saying, hey, I think I could really have a good fit here with Wealth Builders, reach out to us at info@wealthbuilders.com and we'll give you the tiers that are available. And if you're platinum, which is our highest level, you'll be featured on things like this as well. All right. So, Bill, I am so excited you're going to be talking about the legal aspects of business, and that is such an important part. So, everyone, I'm going to turn it on over to our amazing Bill Bronchek.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody, for joining us from all over the world. And I saw we had someone from France. I've been there 3 times, one of my favorite countries. Just to give a little shout out to you there. I just noticed that the WB logo, I don't know why I never caught this before, are my initials, William Bronchick. I don't know why I didn't catch that before. And so just a little background. I've been an attorney about 35 years, originally from New York City. I live in Colorado Springs now. My office is in Denver. And I've been a real estate investor 33 years, and I've been involved in many other businesses, commercial business in real estate, restaurant business for a while, about 17 different businesses that I've been involved in. And most of my clients are real estate investors, small business entrepreneurs, some nonprofit people, some people in ministry, and all mixes and in between. So I have a lot of experience at what I'm going to be talking about tonight, both as from a personal standpoint, also as well from helping clients wrangle through these things as an entrepreneur, as a real estate investor, as a business owner, and so forth. So let's get my PowerPoint up and we'll talk to everyone about this. I would say y'all, like Karen said, but I'm not from Texas. And the funny thing is Karen's not from Texas either. I don't know why she said y'all. Actually, I'm from New York. We'd say yous guys. So the topic of tonight's conversation is corporate entities and asset protection basics for entrepreneurs. So that would be anybody who is self-unemployed by choice, has their own business, has holdings, has either a side gig or a full-time, maybe a ministry too. We'll talk a little bit about the nonprofit side as well, how this all applies. And if you have questions at the end, I'd be happy to take them from you. So in business, they say there's what you know, what you don't know, and then the really scary part, you know what that is. What you don't know that you don't know. That's the ticking time bomb. So my job here tonight is to open your eyes to that blind spot of what you don't know that you don't know, to get you thinking about some of these things and understanding risks where you never really thought they existed. Some of you know that there are risks and you want to get more information on how to protect yourself from those risks. So my proverb is trust in God, but CYA, uh, you have to have faith in God for protection, for divine protection. Of course, that always helps, but CYA does not mean call your attorney. All right. You know what that means. It's one of those impolite phrases that I want to use on a public forum, but you get the point. So um, there is something in Proverbs, but it's not exactly worded like this. But I'm trying to remember the exact words, but it's something to the tune of trust in God, but tie up your camel. So, there are people out there who are going to try to take away from you and attack you for what you are, whether it's for bad intentions or the enemy through them with bad intentions. The higher you climb the flagpole, the more you show your assets. So, something you should be thinking about earlier than later. A lot of people wait until they get sued or something, they get threatened with a liability or a lawsuit, and then they CYA, call their attorney. And that's a little late because in every state there are laws preventing you from trying to basically get broke in a hurry, transfer all your assets to your spouse or your kids to avoid a creditor. You can't do that. That's not legal. So everything we're talking about here is kind of like insurance. It's preventative in nature. You can't buy life insurance after you're dead, and you can't buy life insurance after you jump out of a plane without a parachute. All right, this is all preventative measures. So I know landlords and business owners are especially easy targets. Lawyers love suing business owners uh, and landlords and people who are engaged as entrepreneurs. Why do you think that is? Let's hear in the chat. Why do lawyers just love suing landlords and business owners? Why do you think that is? Let's see in the chat here. Some people might have some ideas. Let's see. Come on. Type faster. Oh, I'm on the bottom. Yeah, here we go. Lack of knowledge keeps them in business. Yeah. Deep pockets. They think they have deep pockets. So these are all good possibilities, but who makes up the jury pool? What do you think? If you get sued, you're going to get a jury of your peers, other entrepreneurs, business owners, landlords, and real estate investors, and so forth? No, you're going to get a jury full of tenants and employees. And when you get into court, it is payback time because nobody likes their landlord and nobody likes their boss. So that's why lawyers really especially love suing those types of categories of people, because they know they're going to get a sympathetic jury. And most judges really don't understand it either. Most judges are not self-employed or never been self-employed. A lot of judges maybe worked as an attorney for a while or a nonprofit or worked in legal aid and then became a judge. And they don't make a lot of money either. So they're not, a wealthy people who understand your plight as an entrepreneur or as a landlord or as a business owner. So we want to stay out of court. You don't make money in court. I make money in court. Stay out of court, and that's one of the things I'm going to be teaching you how to do. Now, a lot of people are at least smart enough to get insurance. And you should have insurance and you should have plenty of it. And a lot of people get an umbrella policy. And if you don't know what that is, it's something that kicks in after all your other insurance policies are exhausted. Now, what a lot of people mistakenly believe, an umbrella, you think something covering you, meaning the coverage is wider than your other policies. So you have maybe a homeowner's insurance, a business policy, an automobile liability policy, or maybe if you're a landlord, you have a landlord's policy, and those all cover those different liabilities and those assets and businesses. An umbrella on top of that doesn't cover more things. It's not wider coverage. It's more vertical coverage. What that means is if you have 500,000 of liability insurance on your business and you get sued in excess of that, that's when your umbrella kicks in. It's not for, well, my primary policy doesn't cover it. Let's check my umbrella policy. It might cover it. No, no, no. If your primary policies don't cover it, neither does the umbrella. So people are foolishly thinking they have an umbrella. It's going to cover a wider range of things. It doesn't. It just covers more money, because a lot of people can't get more than $500,000 coverage on certain things like a rental property or a business or a car. They may not sell, your insurance company may not sell liability more than 500, so you get an umbrella that'll cover you up to $1 million or $2 million or $3 million, whatever you need. And it's relatively cheap because, let's face it, most cases are settled, and most cases will end up being probably less than $500,000 anyway, but it's that just in case the inevitably bad, horrible thing happens, that someone is injured to the tune of multi-millions of dollars, that you have that umbrella that kicks in it. And if your primary policy, again, doesn't cover it, neither does the umbrella. Okay. Now, insurance covers a lot of things. And one of the things it does cover that I really like is it pays for the defense of your case. There's two parts to insurance. There's indemnity, that's paying a claim or paying for a judgment if you go to trial or a settlement. And then the other is defense. Defense is much broader. And that's paying for your lawyer to defend the claim. So even if it's a bunk or frivolous claim, it's going to cost you anywhere between 30, 50, maybe upwards of 100,000. I paid 150,000 to make a lawsuit go away for a settlement of 10,000. That's crazy. We never went to trial. We went all the way up to trial, and then the plaintiff realized, well, I don't think we have a case here. We're gonna look really stupid and look really bad at trial, so we'll settle for $10,000. I spent $150,000 in attorney's fees to get rid of a case. So you don't want to do that. And that's why insurance is good, because insurance pays for that, quote, free lawyer, so you don't have to pay for it, just a deductible. So that's a great reason to have insurance, because most cases are settled and your big expense is your attorney. However, not all things are covered by insurance. Not all things. Generally, things that are not covered by insurance, for example, a breach of contract, a claim of fraud or misrepresentation, okay? Employee discrimination claims. In real estate realm, things like maybe discrimination in picking tenants, or lead-based paint claims, or mold, or things like that. There's a lot of exclusions. There's a good reason why your insurance policy, the coverage page is 1 page and the exclusions are 10 pages. If you want to fall asleep at night, read your exclusions. There's a lot insurance doesn't cover. In fact, any act that is alleged that is intentional, and discrimination is an intentional act. Is an intentional act. So that's never covered by insurance as a matter of public policy. Only things that are accidental, negligence, bad judgment. There are certain things like copyright infringement, which is rare you get sued for that. That's somewhat intentional, or it could be accidental. But if you're alleged to do something intentional, like maybe sexual harassment against an employee, or discrimination or so forth, those are intentional acts never covered by insurance. So, and also every policy, every insurance policy, listen to me carefully, has a duty in there for you, the insured, to notify the insurance company when any event, any triggering event happens that might later lead to a lawsuit. My first job out of law school was working for an insurance law firm. And my job was to figure out how the insurance company could basically screw the insured, how to get out of paying a claim before they did anything else. they would hand the file to me and say, here's the claim sheet, here's the insurance policy, figure out how we can get out of paying a loophole. That's unbelievable, isn't it? That's their first line is not to investigate the claim, not to prepare your defense, but to figure out how to not pay the claim. Okay? So insurance companies are very good at two things: collecting premiums and denying claims. And they're exceedingly good at number two, which is why they make so much money. So insurance is good, but it's kind of like that gown you wear at the doctor's office in the picture here, and you put it on, you tie it up and back, and you go, oh, this isn't so bad, until you catch the back side of the gown in the mirror behind you, and see what's hanging out the back. So, have insurance. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people say they don't want to have insurance because it's a magnet for lawsuits. That's what people want to go after. That's a deep pocket. And that is true. But the opposite is also bad, and probably worse. Having no insurance and getting sued and not having a free lawyer to cover you, that's a disaster. Okay? So we have to have insurance, and we need a second layer of insurance. Now, it's not the umbrella policy. I'm talking when neither of those cover you for the claim. You need an insurance policy in the way you've set up your business to protect yourself, to protect your family, to protect your loved ones, to protect your business, to protect your assets from lawsuits, liabilities, taxes, and other financial pitfalls. So we're going to discuss four main topics tonight. One is considerations for an entity choice, what type of entity, a corporate entity, you should use for your business. Number two, different types of entities that are available. Number three, layering entities for maximum effect. So you're probably going to get the idea that I'm going to recommend that you probably are going to have more than one corporate entity. And number four, where do I get started? Okay, so let's start for considerations for a choice of entities. Now, first, you have to consider, what's your risk of exposure to lawsuits and or liability? Well, I'm just a nonprofit. I'm a charity. I'm a ministry. I don't have exposure to lawsuits. Yes, you do. If you've got employees, you've got exposure. Don't think because you're a nice person and you're a nonprofit or a ministry or a church or whatever, and you have employees that they won't sue you for things like discrimination or violating the law. They will. I've seen it happen many, many, many times. Okay. Bad things do happen to good people. No good deed goes unpunished, so they say. That's not in the Bible, by the way. People like to quote the Bible for that, but it's not in there. So what is your risk of exposure to lawsuits and liability? Do you have customers? Do you deal with the public? Do you have events in public places, and so on and so forth? Number two, what is the cost of all this, of forming and maintaining corporate entities? Because in some states, it's significant. California, New York, Illinois, Massachusetts, some of the very high cost states, where other states, like where I live in Colorado or Wyoming, Midwest, Nebraska, Kansas, relatively cheap, relatively inexpensive. What are the tax implications of forming a corporate entity or two? And how do you have to report your income and expenses for that? Number four, how can you transition your corporate business, the ownership, to your heirs? And finally, the bookkeeping and paperwork. I mean, how complex and involved do you want to make your life and your business? So I like to keep it simple. I'm a simple guy. Usually, those of you who are my clients or have talked to me before, you know that I try to go for the simplest thing that's very effective, because you could take this to the nth extreme and really be protected. But if you can't maintain it, the paperwork, the formalities, the costs, the obligations, and then it's going to fall apart and collapse when you go to court, like taco from Taco Bell, like a wet burrito. You want to make sure that you're able to form something, some sort of plan that you can live with and that gives you adequate protection. So there's a balance there between the realities of running your business and the legalities of protecting yourself. So those are the things you have to consider. So next, we'll talk about the different type of corporate entities that are available to you. And the first is what we refer to as a regular or a C corporation. Now, by default, when you form a corporation, it is a C corp. This is a tax implication. This is not a liability thing. C corporations, S corporations, LLCs, they're all entities and devices that are used for liability protection, but they have different tax implications. So most of the time, your choice of entity is one of taxes. And it is also can be like how many people you have, are they family members, and are you going to raise capital for your business and so forth. Those all come into play in the type of entity you choose. So by default, a company is a C corp. Every large public company is a C corp because an S corp, which is the next one, is an election you must make to have your company treated under subchapter S of the Internal Revenue Code. And for those of you who are outside the country, these are U.S. rules. And one of the things about uh, if you're going to invest or do business in America is in order to be an S corporation owner, you have to have either citizenship or be a permanent resident. Okay. You can't be a temporary resident or on a visa and do an S corp. Also, you can only do up to 100 owners. That's why public companies are C corps, because they have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of owners. S corps are generally the way most small businesses start. C corps are usually more sophisticated entities for people who are trying to, I hate to use the word manipulate, but let's say massage the rules a little bit so you can pay fewer taxes. Um, you know what the difference between tax avoidance and tax evasion is? 20 years in the slammer. So we're looking at tax avoidance. Tax avoidance. There's nothing illegal about that. If you do tax avoidance strategies and the IRS audits you and they just go, nice try, penalty and interest. If you do tax evasion, like not reporting income, doing stuff under the table, cash and so forth, and not report it, you go to prison for that. That's illegal. That's a criminal act. Don't do that. If you're going to try to be aggressive with the tax rules, be aggressive on tax deductions. Don't hide income because that'll get you in jail. You don't want to do that. And so, as a general rule of thumb, most people start out as an S corp and then later either form a C corp or transition their business from an S corp into a C corp. So you can make a C corp into an S corp, usually not very good for tax reasons, but it's easier to make a S corp into a C corp. Then we have what's called a limited liability company. Some people call it a limited liability corporation, which is not. It's an LLC, limited liability company. Now, limited liability company is a little strange in the way it's treated for tax purposes, in that the IRS never came up with a specific tax return form for that. C Corp files a specific form with the federal government. S Corp files a specific form for taxes every year. In LLC, there's 4 different ways that it can be taxed. Now, I don't want to go too far in the weeds. Just understand when you form it, make sure you talk with your tax advisor about this, how to form it, because I would say 90% of people who form LLCs do the wrong tax election. 90%. I might even be brave enough to say 95%. So take a look at that with your tax advisor and see if maybe you could change the way you're reporting your taxes if you have an LLC already. And then we have what's called a family limited partnership. Now, family is an expression used in the tax code for family companies, but you don't have to be family to have a family limited partnership. A limited partnership is a partnership which has at least one general partner and one limited partner. So the general rule is general partners run the show, they make decisions, they handle the business, and limited partners are limited in their participation, limited in their liability as well. Okay. They're not as popular as they used to be for business. They're more used today for estate planning. And the way they are used is to reduce the size of the taxable estate. So when you pass on, you avoid or reduce drastically your federal estate tax, which, if for those of you who don't know, it's close to 50%. 50%. Now, thank God Donald Trump got elected and passed his big, beautiful bill and made permanent, at least for now, until until a Democrat comes into office, the estate tax exemption now, which is almost $14 million. So if you pass with 14 million or less in your of value in your estate, you don't pay any federal estate tax. Now you might pay state estate tax. States like California and New York have a separate tax. It's lower in rate. It's not 50%, but it kicks in much lower than 14 million. All right. So if you're, if you're younger and your net worth is a couple million, you don't have to worry about it right now. But if you're even close to 14 million, you should be thinking about talking to your estate planning professional, attorney, CPA, and so forth to figure out how to reduce your taxable estate. Okay. All right. And then the last entity, which is not really an entity at all, is a trust. Now, there are many different types of trusts, but understand trusts don't form with the state. So an S corp, a C corp, an LLC, a limited partnership, they are all born or formed by filing with a state. It's usually called the Secretary of State of your state or the Department of Economics or whatever they call it in your state. And there's a fee involved and there's formalities. A trust is not a corporate entity. A trust is actually an agreement. It is an agreement between parties. So you have your trustee who, by contract or agreement, which is written, will manage assets for a beneficiary or beneficiaries, commonly used in estate planning. So usually husband, wife form a joint living trust. Living means created while you're alive, as opposed to creating a trust when you're dead. Now, how do you do that? You can't sign when you're dead. Well, of course you can. You could set it up in your will that says, I leave everything to my grandson, but if he's not 18 when I die, then a trust will be created to hold it until he turns 18 or she turns 18 or 21 or whatever you decide. Living just means created while you're alive. And then there's revocable and irrevocable trusts. Irrevocable, like they suggest, you can't change it, you can't amend it, you can't take it back. Revocable means you can do all those things. So most people set up a revocable while you're alive living trust. You've probably heard that expression. It's used for estate planning. So you put all your assets into your living trust. And when I say assets, I don't necessarily mean directly in, meaning put your real estate in a living trust, put your business in a living trust. You would put those things first in corporate entities. And then the corporate entities, instead of being owned by you, would be owned by your revocable living trust. So when you pass, what are you handing over to your heirs? Not the assets, but the keys to the companies that own those assets or those businesses. Okay. That's about all I want to go into now about trust, but there are many, many different types and uses for trust. But understand a trust is a contract, it is not a corporate entity. Some rules of thumb, and again, these are general. Everybody has a different scenario. So if you want to talk to me some other time, I'll give you my contact info. These are just rules of thumb. Determine the nature of your income, whether it's real estate or business income or whatever. Is it passive or is it earned or active? So, for example, in real estate, if you collect rents, that's passive. Now, we know, as those of you who are landlords, it's not completely passive. We do work for it. But to the IRS, it's passive. When you collect interest, that's passive. But when you operate a business, let's say, that has a service or a product or retail to the public, that is earned income. That's ordinary income. Okay. And depending on your involvement in the business, so you can invest, for example, as a partner in a business and be totally uninvolved, like a limited partner or corporate shareholder in a C or S corp, or a member of an LLC, and just be a completely silent partner, then your income would not be earned. It would be passive. But if you're a participating person in the business, so in an LLC, that would be a managing member, in a limited partnership, a general partner, or in a corporation, an officer or employee, then your income is earned. And why is that important? Because FICA tax, Social Security, Medicare, is added on top of federal and state income tax out of your paycheck or out of your earnings or out of your profits. And we want to avoid that nanny system. I assume you all don't like the government reaching his hand in your pocket to say, give me some of that and we'll give it back to you when you retire, at the equivalent of about 1% interest over the years, if it's even around. um, I don't like that. And I know you probably don't like it either. So we want to avoid those taxes. And passive income is not subject to those taxes, but earned income is. So we want to avoid as much earned income as we can. So if you take a salary, earned income, a 1099, earned income. If you get profits out of a company, and usually that's a form of what we call a K1, that can be either one, depending on the nature of the business and the nature of the income. Okay, we'll get to that a little more later. Passive income, we want to do in an LLC or a limited partnership. So again, if you're a passive partner, if you're a landlord, if you're lending money, if you're doing anything passive, if you're an author, royalties are passive income. You want to take those in an LLC or limited partnership, and earned income in either a C or an S corporation, depending on the type of business, the type of income, and so forth. Now, as I said earlier, most people start out with an S corp, and the reason is because in an S corp, you can deduct losses. And why would I talk about losses? We're in the business to make a profit. The reality is, at least on paper, because you have a lot of startup expenses, in the first few years of your business, you're losing money on paper. You may be making money, but on paper, you're losing money. So an S corp allows you to take those losses and then offset other income earned in another business, job, or other source. In a C corp, you can't do that. However, the opposite is also true. If you have a job where you're making a lot of income, you have a big salary, and you don't want more taxable income, you want the business that's earning the money to stay out of the government's sight, stay out of being called income to you right away and reinvest it, then you want to go C corp. Because not only in an S corp do losses pass through, so do profits. So if you're going to go right into something where you know you're going to make a lot of money and it's earned income and you already have a large source of income from somewhere else and you're in a high tax bracket, probably going to go C corp. And then a trust, as we talked about, for estate planning. Again, the trust will not own assets directly. Many of you may even have a living trust, or you may have set one up. And your lawyer maybe told you to put all your assets into that living trust to avoid a state court probate proceeding when you die. That's a proceeding when someone dies and has a will, or if they don't have a will, they have to go through a state court proceeding called probate, which is very expensive in lawyers' fees. It could tie up a business for months, even years. And in the meantime, it's crumbling while your kids and your heirs are trying to keep it running. We want to avoid probate. You may have heard that expression before. And a trust helps avoid probate. Now, it won't necessarily always reduce your federal estate tax, although certain types of trusts can. Your typical revocable living estate planning trust does not. It's to avoid probate and other reasons as well to use a living trust. So even if you have a will or you don't have a will, you should probably have a living trust, especially if you have businesses, if you have assets in multiple states, if you move and assets are located in one state and you're located in another state, you're going to have to do a probate, not only where you die, your kids will do it for you. The probate will have to be done in each state in which you own assets. And that becomes really a pain and really expensive. So what a trust does is it moves your assets with you wherever you go. So there's only one state in which there might be a proceeding, but again, a living trust avoids the proceeding, so there's no probate at all. At all. So it's definitely, if you own businesses, if you have complicated assets, if you have maybe a second marriage, a mixed marriage with kids from a first and a second marriage, I would highly recommend using a living trust. Okay. And that's just, again, these are just broad guidelines. You're going to want to sit down with a tax professional or an attorney and go over these things that are relative to you and your spouse and your family. Now, common setup is people put assets in their own name. So, for example, if you had a bunch of real estate or businesses and put it on your own name, as you could see from the picture, I'm suggesting that that is a target for liability for lawsuits. It's a magnet, okay? You don't want to be the one owning the assets directly or the business directly. So better, what a lot of people do is they set up in an LLC. And that seems to be, interestingly enough, the most common popular form of business in the last 20 years is people form an LLC when in many cases they should be probably forming a C or an S Corp. Why? It's because it's simple. A corporation requires annual meetings, minutes of meetings. That black record book, you ever seen one of those where you fill out the minutes of the meetings, of the annual meetings? And people go, oh, so much work. It's not a lot of work. It'll take you an hour a year. But so LLCs don't require those things. So people go LLC, but what you're missing out on, even though it's simpler, is you're missing out on the huge tax savings that an S or C Corp could be giving you. So you want to visit with a tax professional and or attorney before forming a corporate entity. Better setup? Well, some people think if I have multiple assets, I'll put each one in a separate LLC. I think that's overkill. Now, there's a balance. People always ask me, well, how many assets or how many real estate properties or how many businesses do I put in a company? And the answer is, I'll give you the lawyer answer. It depends. You knew I was going to say that, some of you. It depends. As we talked about earlier, look at the factors, the cost, the aggravation, the paperwork, the maintenance of those things. How many? It's a level of comfort, and it's a balance between protection and being able to run your business. You don't want to have so many corporate entities that you're having corporate meetings with yourself all day long and you can't go out and do business. So there's a balance. There's a balance. Probably more than one, but one for every single business or every single asset is probably overkill. Again, I'm going to use the real estate context here because it's easier to demonstrate. But a compromise might be if you had, according to the screen here, 8 properties divided amongst 3 LLCs. So it's not one per and it's not one for all. Does that make sense? It's a combination of factors that you have to decide. All right. And then what a lot of people do in addition to that is have what's called a parent company, or sometimes referred to as a holding company. So this would usually be an LLC or a family limited partnership in a very protective state, such as Delaware or Wyoming. Now, many of you have heard of Nevada is a good one, and it is a good one. But Nevada has 2 negative things. Unless you live in Nevada, then you're going to do it in Nevada. Nevada is extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. Number 2, they make you fill out a form every year listing who all the players are on record that anyone can search. You don't want that. Now, if you have a retail store, everyone's going to know who the owners are anyway and the players. But if you want to keep quiet or you're a passive investor in a business or own assets like real estate where you don't want it on public record, you don't want to go in Nevada. You want to go in a low information state like Delaware, like Wyoming, and a few others. There's a few others that are good, but those are my two favorite. So a parent company would own other companies that own different businesses and different lines of businesses and different assets. Does that make sense? So instead of having one company for everything or one company for every assets, we're going to break it up into baskets. And then all those companies will be owned by one common holding or parent company. And for tax purposes, what's really nice is the only one that files a tax return would be the parent company because LLCs that are owned wholly owned by a parent company don't file federal returns. Think of it, think General Motors. General Motors is a parent company. It owns the ownership or stock of its subsidiaries. That's what we call the companies in yellow here, the subsidiaries. Buick, Cadillac, Chevy, etc. Okay, they're all owned by one parent company, General Motors. Do you understand the idea? And therefore, all we need to pass on to our heirs is the ownership of the parent company. So your living trust would be the owner. So, or if you have separate ones for husband and wife, some people do joint trusts, some people do separate trusts. To me, it's six of one, half dozen of the other. You can go either way. Depending on whether you have also have a mixed marriage and maybe kids from different marriages and you want things to go in different directions, you might have two separate trusts. But those would be the owners of the parent company. So what are you passing to the kids or the heirs? Not assets, not the LLCs or other companies that run, but the parent company and everything that flows through it. That's what they get. They get the keys to the parent company, and the parent company owns everything that owns all the assets. That's better than having the living trust at the top owning the assets directly, exposing the trust to lawsuits, which we don't want to do. Okay? Okay. Let's see how much time we have here. Why don't we take some questions now?
Bill, that was absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
My goodness, there's so much great information in there. And yes, we do have some questions. I want to encourage people. We just have a few minutes, like 7 minutes.
Okay.
So submit your questions and we'll answer as many as possible. So as I go ahead and look at those questions that present to you, Bill, I would love to hear from Frank for a little recap or some thoughts he has on the presentation.
Well, most of you know I've known Bill for over 20 years, and I'm just telling you, Bill hates it when he has somebody that comes in that he's told that they need to have entities. They put a target on their back, and then something happens, and they expect him to get him out of it, and it's going to cost him a lot more that way, isn't it, Bill?
It's, like the Meineke Muffler man says, you can pay me now or you can pay me later.
That's right. So great job, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's so good. And I think too, this would be a good time for us to put up in the feed. Bill, obviously you're our attorney. You know, you're amazing. So how can people get a hold of you that need some guidance?
I think I might have a slide. Here it is. My contact is best way to reach me is email or on my website is my phone number, bronchiklaw.com. Bronchick Law, BRONCHICKLAW.com. So it's Bill at Bronchick Law, or just go to the website and you could contact me there.
Awesome. We'll put that on there and Bill
Oh,
is
wait a minute. I didn't run the slide.
Oh, I say Bill's
That's all right.
obviously a preferred, Wealth Builder network provider.
Yes. There we go.
So yeah, so eventually
There
he'll
it is. See?
our website
Bill at
too.
bronchicklaw.com.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
All right,
All right,
super.
let's take some questions.
All right. So this is from Craig, Bill, and Craig says, what type of entity would be best for a health coaching business?
Do you want the lawyer answer?
It's going to be like, it depends,
It
right?
depends.
I just
No,
know that.
actually, it's going to be simple. Coaching is a service, and a service business is ordinary income. So that's probably going to be an S corp.
Oh,
Probably going to be an S corp to start.
very helpful. Okay, good. I'm like impressed that it wasn't, it depends, Bill. This
No,
is
that's
good.
a service business. If you're selling services or products, that's ordinary income.
Super. Okay, this is from Norma. She actually has a couple questions, so it's a little lengthy, so hang in there with me, okay? Norma says, I have a parent company LLC in Wyoming that
Mhm.
I have another LLC listed under that is in the state of New Nevada. Is the parent company really necessary? It costs her $9.95 a month plus renewal fees every year. No money
Yikes.
is run through the
You talking
parent.
about the Nevada one?
Yeah.
Well,
The
she's got a
parent
parent owned by another parent.
the parent company is in Wyoming and she has another LLC that's under that in Nevada.
When she says under, you mean which one owns the other? That's what I need to get.
The Wyoming one owns
Owns
the Nevada one.
the Nevada. So the Nevada is a subsidiary.
Yeah,
That's very expensive. Now, if she does business or lives in Nevada, you really don't have a choice. But if she lives in Utah, you could form a Utah LLC that is or C corp or whatever, and have that owned by the Wyoming company, and it's a whole lot cheaper. Now, I tell you, Nevada's very expensive.
yeah. Okay, super. She's got another part to that question too, but I'm going to hop to Desiree and then come back to
Mhm.
it. Desiree says, you talked about insurance for the company, but if I'm a startup with only one employee, what sort of insurance should I be looking for? The one employee is me.
Right. Well, it'd be general business liability policy, which really doesn't cover a lot. That's why it's not that expensive. Usually, if you rent an office from an office building, they're going to require it.
They're gonna, okay,
They're going
that's
to
what,
require it because if someone trips and falls on the carpet in your suite, that'll cover the landlord because it's your responsibility. If someone falls in the hallway, that's the landlord's responsibility or in the parking lot.
okay, very good. Okay, this is going back to Norma, part two, okay? Norma says, also, I have a living trust.
Mhm.
Does the parent company LLC in Wyoming have to be listed with the Nevada LLC in the trust since there is no money that runs through the LLC?
If it doesn't have any assets and it's not a business that will survive without her, like it's not something you could pass on to the heirs, then don't worry about it. When you die, that company dies. But if it's a company that owns assets and or is a company you want to pass on to your heirs, then the parent company, the Wyoming company in this case, would be owned by the trust. And the Nevada company is owned by the Wyoming company. So indirectly they go down to the trust. You
Awesome. Awesome. So Monica just wants to confirm. So a coaching business would be an S corp. She just wanted to make sure she heard you
Yeah,
correctly.
it's earned income. It's earned income. You're coaching, you're providing a service. Now, if you're a passive partner in that business, maybe not. Maybe
Okay,
not.
awesome. Okay, this is our last question that we have time for, and this is from Sue, who is in our coaching family. Sue, it's really good to see you and have you on. She says, can you explain disregarded LLC versus non-disregarded?
Okay, so that ties into discussion we just had. I said earlier, there's no tax return for an LLC. So there's four different ways it's taxed. By default, if an LLC has one owner, we call a member, a company is a corporation is owned by shareholders, an LLC is owned by members. Just different names for the same thing. So an LLC that has one owner, so Karen forms an LLC, she's the sole owner. By default, it is disregarded for federal income tax purposes. What does that mean? It means it's a state entity. It exists. It protects you from liability, but you don't file a separate tax return. The member, Karen, would claim that income and expense from that business on her personal return, which would be a Schedule C if it's ordinary income. Those are not good. They're highly audited. They're subject to self-employment tax. An S corp and now an LLC can elect to be taxed as an S corp. So for federal income tax purposes, an S corp and an LLC electing to be taxed are the same thing. They file the same form. But under state law, one is a corporation and one is an LLC. So I know that's kind of weird that under federal law, it's one way, under state law, it's another, but we have a lot of laws like that that are treated one way under federal law and another way under state law.
Wow, that is so awesome. Bill, this has been amazing. Okay, so here's the thing. You guys, you want to be a part of this workshop on April or August 16th. Not April, August. I can't believe we're already in August. Here's the great news about it. Bill is obviously a speaker there. Billy and Becky kick us off in the morning. It's all day. It's online, and if you do sign up for that, you have 3 weeks to actually view the actual workshop. And after every session, we've got Q&A. So whatever the topic is, you have an opportunity to ask questions, and then I know there's a couple that we couldn't get to tonight, but we have a lot of Q&A that is in this day. Billy and Becky are very excited about this. We're going to be coming live to you from Colorado Springs in a really amazing studio. And we are going to cover everything from how to build your boundaries, expand your boundaries from within, practical information. We've got Jeff Vanderwall, who is absolutely amazing, CEO of Clear Shift. We've got Bill Bronchick. We've got Ray Patterson. We've got Frank Pulley, none other. We've got my husband, David Metcalf, who is really strong in the spiritual connection with business. He actually started the Supernatural Business School at Bethel. So he's also a really good business person. I will be presenting as well, but we really want to come together and help you. We've priced this, you guys, at a price that is just unbelievable because we want to help as many people as possible. So it's
I
a
have
business
I have a
nonprofit.
question.
Go, Bill.
I have a question. During the Q&A, can I skip those and hand you a piece of paper that says just answer everything, it depends?
Close, but you kind of threw me off tonight, Bill. Like you actually had a solid answer. Uh, anyway, it's going to be a great time. So I encourage you to be a part of it. Share this with friends and family. I want to assure you this is going to really help you in the area of building wealth with a business or nonprofit. And if you're in real estate, you're in business.
That's
All
true.
right. So, Bill, I just want to toss it to you for any final words that you have to share with people.
Yes. I hope the most important message was the first message I gave, which is, of course, you want to have faith in God and pray to God for supernatural protection over your family, over your business, over your assets, and so forth. You know what's really great? I did a presentation similar to the one I'm going to be doing on August 16th at the real estate workshop
Yep.
a few months ago. And someone came up to me and said, I watched you on a webinar just like this one. And you said you shared with me a prayer for supernatural protection, which I'll share with everyone on the 16th.
Yes.
And he goes, we were in a bad lawsuit, um, and we prayed that prayer, and 2 weeks later it was dismissed.
Oh, oh
It was
my
dismissed.
gosh.
So I was so just touched to hear that. And I'll share with you that prayer on the 16th. Little teaser there. You got to
A
come.
little teaser. That is awesome. Well, Bill, thank you so much. Frank, thanks so much for being a part of it. Thanks to all of you, our Wealth Builders family. We love and appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you on August 16th. You have a great rest of your evening. Good night, everybody.
Good